All right. I saw on your Twitter account you use the triple parentheses around your name, which I believe is to indicate your Jewish genetic ancestry. Do you wear them proudly? Do you think that being a Jew or being a descendant of Jews has influenced your status as a political activist?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm half Jewish by ethnicity and was raised with a little cultural Judaism and Jewish traditions in celebrating Hanukkah and Passover and lighting the menorah and things like that. But I'm not religious about it, and I'm not, an observant Jew. And I think most people just look at me and see another white guy. So unless I put it out there like that, and you're the first one to echo it back to me, so to speak. But I do that for now. Maybe you have a better understanding of this. Maybe tell me if it
I
doesn't play
actually do.
out.
I have a whole theory.
Okay. Well, let me just finish my position here and understand it, and then please tell me if I should stop doing this or take it off. But I get. I mean, I'm very inclusive generally politically. Like I said, if you want a white nationalist commune, you want a socialist commune, I want you to have that, and I want to include everybody in the Libertarian Party, even from certain fringes and extremes who want to move in the direction of freedom. So I get the thing I get attacked for the most is, well, you're clearly white nationalist friendly because you're talking to people on the alt right, or you're clearly commie friendly because you're talking to anarcho-communists and libertarian socialists, and it's like, whoa, no, can't I just be friendly with everybody who wants to move towards freedom without this guilt by association nonsense? And so I was getting some heat from various alt-right associations. I'm friends with Augustus Invictus. On a personal level, I have a lot of respect for him. And I retweeted his letter to the FBI recently, and
Yeah.
I was just thinking, anticipation of another wave of that. It's best to keep those on there for a while. I don't know if it's helpful or not, because most people who don't know most people have no idea when they see the triple parentheses. They don't know what it means. They go, oh, it's just like some cool little symbolic thing around his name. But it's something that anti-Jewish activists online decided to use as a way of identifying Jewish people, by putting the triple parentheses around their names as echoes for some reference to Jewish presence echoing through history or something like that. And so to me, it's like a tongue-in-cheek, like, yeah, you're going to put a Star of David on my chest? Okay, I'll own it.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, my theory is that the Jewish people have been subjected to various selective pressure that has shaped their behavior. I think that the Jews have survived. They have traveled a lot. They have been kicked out of a lot of countries. They have survived various events across history, and that selects for a certain type of behavior. And I think that E. Michael Jones has a phrase for this. What?
We are survivors.
Yes, survivors. And to survive, well, the Jewish people was traveling from places to places where there were people. So they are specialists of verbal skills. That's why they have a higher verbal IQ, in my view. It's that they are specialized at arriving at a place where there's already human beings and surviving and calling for their empathy and acceptance. But in that process, they are also revolutionaries, and E. Michael Jones phrases it as the Jewish revolutionary spirit. I would think of it more as a kind of genetically encoded behavior. It's a little bit poetic, but I think that there is such a thing within the descendant of the Jews, which is a tendency to revolution, a tendency to refuse authority, a tendency to be doubtful of the state, because as they were traveling and as they were getting expelled from various countries, I think they've learned that the state was generally an enemy. So do you think that there is such a thing as a predisposition to libertarianism in Jews?
Absolutely, and some of the greater intellectuals of the movement, Murray Rothbard, particularly influential on myself, also of a Jewish heritage. I think that kind of analysis of the human story is really fascinating, and I do have some, personal fascination with that. I have been described by multiple girlfriends actually as the reincarnation of Abby Hoffman, and I take that as quite a compliment. I think that in what you point out about Judaism, or the Jewish people, I think the most important thing is the disdain or the general distrust for authority, and that any kind of people who have been through what the Jewish people have been, and I'm not big on harping on that because we are survivors. We don't need to brag about it, but there is a certain evolutionary selective pressure that if you're going to survive the most challenging, if you could take and I guess if you could just take a genetic group, a subset of the human species, and put them through a series of challenges of the human experience, most of those challenges are going to be because of authority, because of government, and the skepticism of authority, the general disdain and distrust for it. Yeah, I think there is something about that baked into our genetics, which I will say makes the existence of the state of Israel as we know it today particularly disgusting, because there's a certain mythology of Israel being the safe haven for Jews, and if it was simply that, I think it could be a relatively righteous endeavor in and of itself, of course, if not done through a government or done in a more voluntary way. But Israel has become a rather violent, belligerent, and militarist state. And as a Jew, I'm happy to speak out against Zionism and point out that in the ways that you give me so many reasons to be proud of that heritage, those are very much perverted by the state of Israel.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I went there without being asked.